Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Oa to Krakoa and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve? Do we have an audio weird thing in the beginning for 2 weeks in a row?
No. So what I did, my tech background here is our Steve's Tech Corner for the week.
I'm sorry, like in context, I started that intro having not heard the theme music,
Right.
but seeing Steve's eyes just darting frantically back and forth until he gave me a cue to start talking, and I was like, oh, here we go. So go ahead, Steve. What was
you're good now. I tried to I tried to change around my mix so that you would only hear everything but your own voice. Alas, it didn't work, but we've got both of the voices on the recording, so
okay,
we're good as far as that.
Okay,
yeah. So we're live and we're here. And hi, guys. This is wonderful podcasting for the first minute of this one. If you ever wanted to hear us ramble about things, we're good at it. So here we are. We're the Multiverse Report, and
people come here for professional nerd news podcasting. That's what people come here for.
If they
don't
that,
come for all this horsing around.
if they do that, they haven't actually heard an episode.
Yeah, yeah. And if they are doing that, then they should be also donating to our Patreon, getting exclusive bonus things.
Absolutely,
from us.
It's a slightly more professional look at us, where you hear wonderful things like Mike and I's pre-roll about various beers that a local brewing company, local-ish Buffalo brewing company put out with X-Men characters and or Star Wars characters, and what we thought of all those beers, which was a widely varying taste.
And how we will continue to buy them, regardless of how we felt about them, because they have X-Men and Star Wars characters on them.
Correct.
Because we're just that nerdy, and we're suckers. We're suckers. They see us coming a mile away.
And unfortunately,
put some nerdy shit on this can, all those nerds will buy it. They're talking about us.
Yeah, and unfortunately, our friends at Branching Out Bottle Shop also know this.
They sure do. Let's stock up on these Star Wars beers and soak Mike and Steve for some more money.
It's like, well, they'll sit in the fridge until Mike and Steve buy them, so we're good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. They have scouts, and they see us pull into the parking lot. They're like, they're here. Stock the fridge. Roll out the X-Men beers.
Speaking of scouts, are you ready to sit in the rain tomorrow?
No. I don't know that I will be attending the Memorial Day Parade if it's raining tomorrow. This is a nerd news podcast, by the way.
Oh, 100%. We'll get there.
More time on top. Because my son broke his arm a few weeks ago and is in a cast. And if it's a threat of rain, we can't get that cast wet. And yeah, there's like a sleeve thing we can put over it, but who knows how long it's going to be out there or how hard it's going to be raining, and we don't want to risk having to redo the cast for a third time. So
I feel like that's understandable.
Yeah, so if it's rainy, as excited as we were to get up super early and sit in the hot sun and watch a bunch of people walk by on a street, probably won't be doing it if it's raining tomorrow. And it's looking like it's going to rain, so womp, womp.
Yep,
but
that tracks.
Are you excited about going and sitting in the rain tomorrow?
No, not at all.
No.
But I'll be there with bells on. Maybe not bells, but at least a scout uniform.
Yeah, with a scout uniform on. This podcast that is all about Memorial Day parades and scouts, Cub Scouts, and beers. Those are the three things we talk about exclusively.
The Venn diagram of what you just said is a very specific crowd.
You and me, right in the middle, buddy. This podcast that is so interesting to so many people is brought to you by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl. Check them out for all your Memorial Day parade, Boy Scout, and beer needs. They got everything you could need for all those things. Oh, sorry. No, I mean comics and toys. And vinyl. Yeah. They should sell beers. That'd be dope. They started.
Can we combine the powers of two of our favorite Camilla stores?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Branching out comics and vinyl. Anyway, Are we ready to actually dive into some stuff?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
What the hell?
Okay. And we could also talk about other random stuff. I went to Herkimer Diamond Mine today.
Oh, that's actually I've never been there. I lived very
I've never been there either.
Very close to Herkimer for many years. Never been there.
I had never been there. We found some cool rocks, though.
There you go. Good day for it, too.
Speaking of cool rocks, sometimes you see them in X-Men comics, right? There's got to be a cool rock in some X-Men comic over the last 60 years. Asteroid M count as a rock?
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Sure, Asteroid M.
I bet Ben Grimm has showed up in one of them at some point.
Hey, there we go. Flawless segue.
Mm-hmm.
Flawless segue. It's kind of a big deal because, Steve, you and I and tons of other nerds around the globe have been waiting for quite some time for the debut of the aforementioned X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes. Yes, we have.
When did Disney buy Fox? 2018, I think. I think it was 2018.
Yeah, because they announced
ish. It took a long time. They were.
Well, I'm trying to think. When was our friend's wedding where they announced the Fantastic Four movie?
Oh, yeah, good call. I don't remember.
I don't either. And both of them listen to this podcast, so that's not helping our cause.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry, guys.
But either way, yeah, it's been a while since.
I think it was 2018. So ever since the rumor of that happened, people have been abuzz about, they're going to make an X-Men movie. The X-Men are going to be the MCU. X-Men are going to be the MCU. X-Men are going to be
19.
Yeah, because I think we were already wondering if we were going to see any X-Men hints in like Avengers Endgame.
Right.
I remember when that came out, and I remember being like, no, they're not going to tease anything else because they're going to wrap up these storylines that they have, and they're, too smart to do that. Thankfully, I was right. But so it's been a long time. Anyway, my point is it's been a long time that we have been waiting for the X-Men to appear in the MCU.
And the first real tease of it was the post-credits for the Marvels last year.
Right. That plus the mention of the word mutant in the finale of the Ms. Marvel television show.
Yep. Those
two things combined. But 100%, the thing you said at the end of Marvels, way bigger.
Yeah.
Way bigger debut. And, that's kind of happening this summer in Deadpool and Wolverine because that is an MCU movie and there is at least X-Men that we know is going to be in it. I don't believe it's going to be he's not going to be the Wolverine that goes on to the MCU, I don't believe. But we'll see what we get out of that movie. However, as far as an X-Men film, an X-Men standalone film concerned the MCU, we are one step closer to getting that. Deadline has reported this week that Michael Leslie is currently in negotiations to pen the screenplay for the MCU's X-Men reboot. Michael Leslie, known for the two highest profile things, I should say, that he has written is The Hunger Games, Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, that came out last year, and 2016's Assassin's Creed film. So this might be a bit of a good news, bad news situation where, yay, we have a writer for the X-Men film. But Assassin's Creed, I have not seen that movie. And the biggest reason I haven't seen that movie is that everything I heard about it was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Oh, very much so. I haven't seen it either, but there was nothing good said about that movie.
Yeah.
And who knows if it was because of the writing or because of the rest of everything. But
could have been a great script that was ruined during production. Who knows? I did hear some relatively positive things about that last Hunger Games movie, though. Hunger Games: Battle of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah,
it's like a prequel, I think.
Right.
That I personally didn't have any interest in, although I did enjoy the Hunger Games films. Didn't really have any interest in a prequel. But I heard it was pretty good. So, who knows? He's also done a couple big screen Shakespeare adaptations of Macbeth and Hamlet. I think the Hamlet one isn't out yet, but so I don't know. He's a writer. He knows what he's doing, I guess. He's made a couple movies. He deals in Shakespeare. Got to be talented to deal in Shakespeare. So this is the guy. This is the guy who's writing our X-Men movie as of today. Who knows?
That was going to be my other thing is they announced him. This is Marvel. This would not be the first time they announced a writer and then unannounced a writer.
That's true. And by the way, this episode is heavy on writing announcements.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everything we're talking about is writer related, except maybe the one shot. But as you were just saying, sorry, what were you just saying? I was gonna make a point off of what you just said, and I totally forgot what I was gonna say and what you were gonna say because
we're absolutely killing it on this podcast.
Yeah, really doing a great job. It's fine. Deadline also says that I said we are one step closer. It doesn't mean we're incredibly close, because hiring a writer is literally a very early step in a movie making process. As Deadline Report says, even with Leslie officially boarding, it still will be some time before we get a movie into theaters, as the film will now look to find a director to oversee the development with Kevin Feige, and Michael Leslie. So we're still far away from an X-Men movie, but there is progress, and this is a big step towards something. We heard months ago that they were taking pitches for X-Men writers. Clearly, Michael Leslie had a good idea, and he's getting a job. So, I know if they were looking to rush out an X-Men movie, we would have had it by now, or we would have had more information on it, or they would have announced something. They're taking their time because they know they need to get this right.
Yeah, it seems to be. It seems like they've tossed a lot of things on the Fantastic Four movie, but it seems even more like they've taken their time. They've pushed that when they needed to. They've gone through a couple of iterations. X-Men, they've really taken their time on. And
do you remember a rumor or a report that we talked about maybe like a year ago that said there's some kind of rule in the contract with 20th Century Fox that they can't recast any X-Men character until 2025 is the first, like, if they're going to use an X-Men character, it has to be that character because they're still under contract for that long.
You know what? I think that came out around the time that they started talking about this movie, the Wolverine and Deadpool. Maybe, yeah. Because of...
Or at least Deadpool 3. Maybe there were rumors around it. Back then it was still called Deadpool 3. Yeah.
Yep. Because it was kind of right when we had heard the rumors that Wolverine was going, like Hugh Jackman was coming back as Wolverine. And yeah, I mean, that would track with exactly what we've got going on here. Like if we do a Deadpool kills the Fox universe and then end up fresh slate for 2025 or whatever, like clean up all the TVA multiversal crap, and it's like, all right, here's your X-Men.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great.
As always, I don't know, have we talked about what team you actually want to see them start with, or how you would want them to start with in the MCU?
No, but I know exactly what I would love them to do, and I don't think they're going to do it.
05?
I want them to start with the original 5. I want, or I want them to start with like 5, period. Like, don't start with here's 35 X-Men.
Right.
Like, I don't want that. I want a small team that I would love it to be the original 5. Yeah. I would love it to be, especially because we're getting. I remember we were just talking about the sale of 20th Century Fox to Disney, and I remember when that was happening, I would have conversations with people about like this. I'd have this exact conversation with what kind of X-Men do you think they should do?
Right.
And I was adamant. I was like, stay away from Wolverine. Do not give me a Wolverine until the second X-Men movie or whatever you're going to do. Like,
at the least.
Yeah. But now we're getting Wolverine again 2 months from now, you know, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be Hugh Jackman. It's not going to be a new Wolverine. So it's just more of the same one. So it's not like, it's not too soon to cast a new one. It's just like, but will him coming back now make people harder to accept a new one when we do get one? Because it's going to be that much closer.
I mean,
does that make sense?
That could depend on what they do in this film.
True. That's a good point.
We know from the trailer, I mean, as much as you can discern from a trailer, but like the whole premise is Wade is going to this Wolverine because he's the only one left in his universe.
Yeah.
And he knows what, basically, like if he's the only one left, I'm assuming he doesn't make it out of this movie. And that's where we get our clean slate.
I don't know. You know, we know he's not going to. We know that Deadpool is going to end up in the MCU universe,
right?
Whatever universe that is, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is not
right.
To. Whether he dies, whether they get separated, whether he just goes back to his own dimension or whatever, remains to be seen. But we know they will end up in separate places. Anyway, like you said, I would personally love them to start with the original 5. If they swap out whoever, Angel for Storm or something, great. I'm fine with that as well. But like, give me a small team. Maybe during the plot of that movie, you meet 1 or 2 other characters that will join the team in the next movie or something like that. But like, start small and build up. Don't just overload us with X-Men.
Like, we know there's a Black Panther 3 under development.
Sure.
Like, slow roll it. Like, introduce Aurora in Black Panther 3 and then bring her into the X-Men franchise. Or like introduce, well, I guess Kurt would be tough in there's not too much set in Germany at present. But like,
they could do it though. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, find a way to intersperse them. If you're truly looking at finding a way to bring this all together as part of the MCU, intersperse make it so that we don't start with the mansion, the school isn't there,
sure,
and go from there. And he's still picking out mutants and finding these people, and you can use that as plot points in other movies and everything else you're seeing. Like, I don't know, there seems to be some leeway there that they could take, that hopefully they'd have the patience to do something like that.
The patience is the problem, I think. And the only thing we have going for us is Bob Iger always saying, like, we're going to slow down and we're going to put quality over quantity or whatever.
Well, and the patience is what made the start of the MCU so good.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember having other conversations about how they should handle the X-Men. And I can't see them doing this now because I feel like they have too many irons in the fire with Secret Wars and everything that they've already announced. But I thought it would be cool once upon a time if they treated the X-Men the way they treated the Avengers. Like, give us a Wolverine movie, give us a Storm movie, give us a Magneto movie or whatever. And then eventually you build up into an X-Men movie or an Avengers-like clashing of whatever characters or combining of characters. And then you can do that. Then you have the X-Men meet the Avengers in like a big team-up movie or something like that.
It's almost like they've made
again, a slow roll.
They've made a couple of comic runs on that almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a real possibility that we will have a clearer vision for how the MCU is going to handle the X-Men after Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Where that movie ends up. Could be wrong. It could just be a standalone focus on Deadpool thing, which is fine. But I think it's possible that we'll get some hint of what they're going to do with the X-Men moving forward. And I think it's possible that we will see X-Men characters, like you were saying. I think it's possible that we'll see X-Men characters before we see an X-Men film, especially in either Avengers 5 or Avengers Secret Wars, I think.
Yeah. I mean, even Fantastic Four, if you're looking at something ends up time displaced or something weird like that, like, maybe we see Reed interacting back in the 60s with Charles or something.
Right.
Or,
wow, you're right.
There's ways they can do it to seed it while not giving away the whole shebang. And I do like I'm with you on the thought of original 5 or a tight group. Like, don't give me the full giant size, because that's just going to be too many right off the bat.
Yeah.
So,
but even if they just did those like 6, however many, and they did a thing where they reference how there was an original team, and we eventually meet that original team. Like something like that could work as well. Just don't give me blue team and gold team and all these like Excalibur and whatever. Like, settle down. Slow roll. But we'll see what they do. Speaking of things that I want, here's something that I didn't think was going to happen at all, and I don't really care about, but I will wait and see if it's worth it. Vision series, something we've heard rumors about for a long time. Didn't they?
It was announced as Vision Quest, I believe.
Vision Quest. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was that officially announced?
I think there was like a logo and everything, wasn't there?
I felt like it was too, but this article made no mention of it. But anyway, yeah, we've heard rumors of a Vision series for a long time. But now, Terry Matalas, who was the executive producer on Star Trek Picard, has been hired as a showrunner for a Vision series for Disney+. It's aiming for a 2026 release. So, I mean, not fast-tracking it, but pretty, it'd probably be the next thing. We know we're getting a couple shows in 2025 already, so it'll probably be one of the next 3 or 4 shows series we get from Marvel from Disney+. Paul Bettany is, of course, expected to return as Vision. So, I guess the article I read didn't specifically mention that it used to be called Vision Quest, but that a series about Vision has been in development for a long time and keeps getting shoved or put on various back burners. I think I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that ended up show running Agatha was originally developing the Vision series, but ended up focusing on Agatha instead.
The woman? Jack Schaefer?
What? Jack Schaefer.
Yeah,
yes.
Jack is Jacqueline Schaefer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So she did WandaVision. She wrote WandaVision, Agatha.
She did WandaVision, yeah.
And then an original treatment on Vision, which I think was what was originally announced as Vision Quest.
Yeah.
And that got scrapped for whatever this is going to be.
Yeah.
So
assumedly, this would focus on the white version of Vision that we saw at the end of WandaVision, because the other one is dead, right?
He's a little depowered, decrystalled.
Do you have any inclination as to what a solo Vision series would be? After we got some good flavors of Tom King's The Vision series in WandaVision. Now, not the same plot. We could get that plot in a different setting, I guess, because we got like the suburban home pretending to be a normal dad version of Vision, but not the whole thing where he's like building his own family, which is weird. Do you know of anything, any storyline or anything that could support a Vision series off the top of your head, other than the Tom King thing that I just mentioned?
I mean, there was an actual Vision Quest storyline in like the West Coast Avengers. I don't know what it entailed, but I know that title came from an actual like West Coast Avengers story rip. So I would assume if they, I mean, I guess it's a big assumption, seeing they've definitely taken some liberties with that sort of thing. Calling it X and it being not that. But yeah, I mean, that if they go West Coast Avengers and Vision Quest, does that also bring in Wonder Man?
I mean,
he was part of that team.
Wonder Man is coming up.
Yeah.
Wonder Man's coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if they're heading for 2 different teams of Avengers eventually.
What was that? I think that was Scarlet Witch, Vision, Wonder Man, and Hawkeye, and Tigra, maybe?
Wasn't War Machine also part of the West Coast Avengers for a while?
Maybe. I'll look that up.
I have a memory of War Machine being on a cover of West Coast Avengers that I have. But yeah, could be. I mean, Wonder Man is the next. Is Wonder Man the next live action show? No, Agatha. But then Wonder Man, I think, is after that.
Could be.
Which is weird that we've heard almost nothing and seen almost nothing about Wonder Man, despite it being done filming.
Right. Oh, Bobby Morse, Mockingbird. So Hawkeye, Mockingbird, Wonder Man, Tigra, and Iron Man were the first.
Iron Man straight up.
Yep.
Okay.
Were the first West Coast Avengers team.
Cool. Do you think they would ever do a thing where they have 2 Avengers teams, one for big screen and one for TV series?
I mean, that'd be a good way to use West Coast or Great Lakes Avengers.
True.
Or Young Avengers.
I think so. Hey, Disney Plus, I got good ideas over here. Disney Plus.
The other thing I'm getting from just looking this up with my vast West Coast Avengers knowledge, which is not vast in any way, shape, or form. One of their main villains was Ultron. Do we see a return to Ultron?
I think they could. Ultron would be an easy villain to bring back.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a program.
Yeah, I might be crazy, but I kind of like Age of Ultron. A lot of people hate that movie. I think it's pretty good. I don't hate that movie.
I wouldn't go so far as to say pretty good. I would say it's definitely not remotely as bad as people pan it. Yeah. The last time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, this is fine.
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember in the theater, I was like, this is great. And then other people, even people that I was with, was like, man, it was okay. I was like, what? I thought it was great. What do you mean? So maybe I should watch it again, maybe. But
it's not an A+, but it's a solid team-up movie.
Yeah. I also got to say, the idea to have the guy that voiced Jarvis, Paul Bettany, end up having the plot of that movie center around Jarvis so much, and then have Paul Bettany play live action Vision because Jarvis got merged with this other artificial intelligence thing. That's so cool. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. That's that connectivity that doesn't seem like it's there anymore, kind of in the MCU. You know what I mean? Or it's too big it's too big to maintain that level of connectivity.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of cool stuff that I miss. So yeah, Vision series. We'll see if it's any good. We'll keep you updated as we roll along. Now, Steve, I remembered what I was going to say. When you mentioned the thing that you said when we were talking about the X-Men writer, you said it's not unlike Marvel to hire a writer and then hire another one. Yeah. And this is unconfirmed. So I didn't officially put this in the report, but there are rumors and unconfirmed reports that Blade is going through more rewrites, another round of rewrites, and another writer has left. They're looking for another new writer.
Sure.
I hope that's not true.
And more about Blade later in the show, but not the movie, but the character. I know. For the sake of that movie and for the sake of Mahershala Ali's sanity, I think I would hope not, but
I would hope not too. Just make a movie that's Blade killing a fuck ton of vampires.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half. Give me a 90-minute slasher movie, but Blade is the hero and is the one that's slashing vampires.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want. That's all anybody wants. It doesn't 100%. Have to be deeper than that. Marvel, no. That's all anybody wants from a Blade movie. No, I mean, you can't top the opening scene of the first Blade movie. No one's ever going to top the opening scene of the first Blade movie. So don't stop trying. Just do something else. Do something that's cool.
Yeah.
Don't overexert yourself.
You know what? I thought about you saying you need to go out rewatch Age of Ultron made me think. Yeah. I need to go rewatch those Wesley Snipes Blade movies.
I haven't seen any of them in a long time.
Uh-huh.
I think I've only seen the second one once. The second one's directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was the loudest movie I've ever seen. I remember being because that's the one with the vampires, the jaws
mm-hmm.
open sideways.
Oh yeah.
Disturbingly. But every time they did, it was they would do this crazy scream, and me and my friends were literally covering our ears, oh my God.
Well, and it's weird when you say that, their jaws open sideways, and that shouldn't be all that weird, but it was really weird.
Oh, it was really weird. Yeah, because they were clamping, and they clamp on people's faces. I gotta watch that. I'm gonna watch that tonight.
There you go.
It's making me excited.
We have now figured out Mike's post-pod viewing. I might have to.
Well, I don't know, because I still got to watch a bunch of Planet of the Apes movies. Still on that train. And as of today, I've decided that I'm going to have myself what I'm calling #Spielberg Summer.
Oh. Okay.
Where I'm just going to watch a bunch of Steven Spielberg movies, as many as I can, between late May and early September. There's a lot that I haven't seen. And there's a lot of masterpieces that are well worth revisiting.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to like watch all the ones I haven't seen, or most of the ones I haven't seen, and obviously revisit some of the highlights.
Nice.
Which I've already started doing.
There you go. You know what I actually watched last night and this morning?
What's that?
Finally watched Tales of the Jedi. Or Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was a goddamn masterpiece.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing.
Like the arc that they take Barriss on. Even like the Morgan Elsbeth stuff. If it had just been those three, I feel like that would have been compelling. But then they followed up with the Barriss stuff, and you're like, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
Compared to what we just saw. Like it was the Elspeth trilogy, I guess, 3-episode arc was fine. Like it was nothing we needed, but it was like, okay, cool.
It gave a lot more depth to that character than I ever expected or ever 100%. Felt like I wanted, but it made me like really love that character. It's what made me start rewatching Ahsoka, which I did recently. So I was like, wow, now I want to see like the rest of their arc now.
Right, like how this
got
fits
so much background on her. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the Barriss 3 was just like that was just picture perfect.
Yeah,
story
incredible
and like character growth.
And speaking of picture perfect, I think probably the best animation I've ever seen in a Star Wars thing, hands down.
Yeah,
both of them were incredible looking. Both those stories.
There were a couple of snap. I think there was a snap somebody took of the Vader scene and lined it up like shot for shot with because his entrance there lined it up with his entrance in. I think it might have been like Rogue One or like some other like live action, and they put them next to each other, and you cannot tell the difference.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
Good. Like the colors were so insane, like just really bright, vibrant colors in all of them too.
Well, and even like the third Barriss one, where it was muted and foggy and like designed to be that, it was still well. Like the color saturation wasn't too crazy. There was nothing that was like muted too much. It was just well balanced.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. So I'm glad I finally got around to watching this.
Nice.
Took me way too long.
Yeah, it really did. It came out May 4th. It's May 26th.
It was one of those where it's like you guys sang the praises and I missed the boat, and then I just kept missing the boat, and then when I was doing that. The TIE Interceptor. I was like, I need to be watching a Star Wars while this is happening.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So I started out with Return of the Jedi because that was the first appearance of the TIE Interceptor. And then when that was done, I was like, oh, crap. I haven't watched these. So
that is such a nerdy reasoning to make that choice, and I love it. I would do the exact same thing. Well, I'm building a TIE Interceptor, and the canonical first appearance of a TIE Interceptor was Return of the Jedi, so I got to watch Return of the Jedi. That's exactly what I would do.
Yep, that's the fault in my brain right there. Apparently it's in yours too.
Before we move on, speaking of things that I am doing, and while we're tangenting, I meant to mention this at the top of the show, but we were having such a great top of the show with no flaws or mistakes or
smooth as butter.
Smooth, just no bumps in the road whatsoever. I did want to mention that a band that I'm in that I also wrote a comic book about called The Amazing Shakes is playing a show this June 1st, this Saturday, at a place called Stout Beard Brewing Company for free. We're playing with 2 other bands, the Rhino Chasers and Underwater Bosses. It's like a surf, rock, garage rock kind of show. We're playing from 8 to 8:45. We have cool new stickers available, $1 each. We're also putting out a new... Awesome. Thank you. We're also putting out a 4-song EP that was originally exclusive to backers of our Kickstarter at the highest level. But now enough time has passed that we're able to put that out per the agreement with the Kickstarter backers. So that's going to be on our Bandcamp page this Friday, I believe. And then we're playing on Saturday, June 1st, Stout Beard Brewing Company. And I should point out, the deal with the Amazing Shakes is that we are a group of superheroes that wear magical masks that give us the powers of rock and roll spirits of vigilantism. So, exactly. Steve has a similar mask. The masks that we have, the masks that we have are magical. They may look like the kind of masks you can buy for $1 at any Party City. However, Ours are magical masks that possess us with spirits of rock and roll vigilantism. And so we'll be wearing those. And should any demons or vampires attack Stoutbeard Brewing Company between 8 and 8:45, we'll take care of them. No problem.
So the gist of it is, if anybody has, bought issue 1 of the Amazing Shakes, they can bring it and have the entire band sign it.
That's true. That's very true. We will be selling copies of the comic at the show. If you want yours signed by all 3 Amazing Shakes, 100% bring it by. If you want a copy of it, come and get it. Or if you want to just see, if you've read it already and you want to see what the real life Amazing Shakes look and sound like, now's your chance, folks. Now's your chance. Stoutbeard Brewing Company. Doors are at 7, I believe, and we start at 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:45. Playing some new stuff too. Not like all the old stuff that I'm sure you all know and can recite by heart, but it'll all be new to you. But anyway, that's my little plug for myself. And now, back to business. Should we get back to business?
Jesse and I down at Funky Town were talking, and Mike down there. I don't know if you know Mike. Works Wednesdays and Saturdays now.
Glasses, mustache?
Yep.
Okay. I know Mike, who he is, but Mike. I didn't know his name. Yeah.
We were talking about grading books, and my brain just kicked to, we need to find a good copy in your box of the Shakes #1 and send that in and get it slabbed for you.
Okay. Awesome.
If you have a pretty pristine one, I feel like we should just send it in on one of the orders we're going to throw in.
I'm sure I do. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So
I'll have the only one.
Exactly. One of one.
One of one. Speaking of superheroes that I am personally attached to, this one slightly less personally attached to, but just in my heart since I was a child, Green Lantern. Good old Greenie.
Which one?
I guess it would be specifically for my childhood, Hal Jordan, because that was before I knew that there were any more than one.
Right.
Now that I know there are thousands, still mostly Hal Jordan, but also I'm a big Jon Stewart fan. And
he is pretty funny.
I like Kyle Rayner.
Poignant.
Oh, funny. Yeah. I like Kyle Rayner quite a bit. I like Jessica Cruz quite a bit. So it's a lot of options. There's one that I always forget. There's one that has a volcano for a head.
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
No, it's like he's a normal human body, but right under his shoulders start turning into a mountain, and so the peak of his body stops at the neck, and that's where that's the mouth of the volcano, and there's lava leaking out, and there's smoke above his neck area, which is his head, and his face is actually in the smoke. It's wild.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, his name's Votek or something. I don't remember his name, but yeah.
Anyway,
I hope we see him in Lanterns, the HBO series that was announced by James Gunn a long time ago, which we recently brought up. Was it last week? I think it was when we were talking about Supergirl or something.
Yeah, I think so.
We brought it up, and because you were like, "Oh, I don't remember that is even happening." Well, it is, and we got some big movement on it. James Gunn announced on social media this week. Sorry. He said, this is another writer-related thing. We know some of the creative minds behind the show. James Gunn said on Instagram, he said, "Yes, it's true. The Lanterns DCU series is putting together a crack team of writers based on a wonderful pilot script and Bible by Chris Mundy, Tom King, and Damon Lindelof. A hearty welcome to Chris and Damon as they join the DC Studios family. No welcome necessary for old Tom King, who has been here nearly since inception."
Old Tom King? What about? I'm sure Tom feels great about that.
Being called old Tom King, yeah.
Seeing, isn't he our age?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah. Like I said, James Gunn announced this show back in early January 2023 when he made his big DCU announcement. And he said of the series that it's going to be a detective show featuring 2 Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And it's going to be in the style of True Detective, another well-known HBO detective series.
You recently watched.
Which I recently watched 2 seasons of and loved quite a bit. So I'm all down for making True Detective, but with Green Lanterns. Awesome. One of those writers, Chris Mundy, was a producer on True Detective. So that's a good sign if you're going in that direction. And he was also the showrunner of Ozark on Netflix.
Never saw,
the show
I heard nothing but great things about.
Same.
I just don't feel like it's in my wheelhouse. So
I feel like it's something that I would like, but I just don't have any motivation to watch it, especially if it's like 4 or 5 seasons or whatever. Like, that's just too much.
See, I have a big problem with that. Of like, somebody tells me something and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's we're in the 3rd season and it's awesome," and it's like, "All right, well, I'm done. I'm not going to watch."
Oh, you're already in the 3rd
of,
season.
Like, okay, cool. Like, if I'm not in on it within like 4 weeks of inception, I'm toast.
Wow, I've heard people say the opposite.
I hate binging stuff. I hate binging stuff.
That's the thing. I don't binge stuff either. It's hard for me to like sit and just watch an entire series of a show or whatever. But I've heard people say, like, I don't start a series unless there's at least 3 seasons of it. That means it's good enough to get to 3 seasons. I don't want to waste my time. And I get that too. But for me, like, you got an 8-episode season 1 that's supposed to be great, I'm in. Like Severance, one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I've binged all 8 episodes of it in a week. Great.
I still like. I always get that. Oh, once you get through the first season, it's great. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to do that. I'm not putting myself through a season of television.
Yeah, give me a great first season, and then maybe I'll stick around.
If you said like, okay, the first 2 or 3 episodes are set up, and then it gets into it, okay, maybe. But like, get through the first season? No.
Don't tell me the whole first season is terrible. I feel like a lot of people say that though because a lot of shows naturally get better as they go.
Yes.
So when you go back to season 1, it doesn't seem as good as like your favorite episodes of season 3 or whatever. But that's because you've just been with these characters so long. But you wouldn't have stuck it out to season 3 if you didn't like season 1. So I think it kind of does a disservice to people to say, "Oh, got to get through season 1." Like be like, "No, start it. It's great. You'll love it."
That's like when you and I went back and watched Clone Wars with our sons. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Season 1, you're just like, "Oh, this isn't nearly what I remembered it." Like, I always, for years, I was always telling people, like, get through season 1, it'll be awesome. Like, I was telling people the thing I hate when people tell me.
Yeah.
And then I went back and watched it. I'm like, oh, there's some bangers.
I know. I remember when my wife and I were watching Schitt's Creek. Because we started that after it was almost over, or when it was almost over.
Yep.
And we were like, oh, we just started Schitt's Creek. And they're like, oh, you got to get through that first season. It gets really better. We're like, well, we're like halfway through the first season and we love it. So why are you telling us it's bad? Like, we like it.
Well, if I didn't like that, I'm going to really like the later seasons. What?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so that's what Chris Mundy has done. Tom King has written many an acclaimed comic book and graphic novel, and we know that he has been involved with James Gunn, and he's he wrote Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that they're basing that movie on. He's given some notes on the Superman script, so he's been like involved, and I'm sure that Lanterns is not the only project he's working on for James Gunn. Damon Lindelof, of course, was co-head writer on a show called Lost, as well as he was the showrunner on the very acclaimed HBO series Watchmen. So
for a while had a Star Wars project that didn't get off the ground.
He turned in a script of the new Jedi Order Rey movie. He had a writing partner.
Yeah.
And they didn't go with that. Didn't go with his script.
But
so he also he also did some writing on Prometheus, that Alien prequel. I feel like there's people that hate Damon Lindelof. People that love him. He's like a very kind of because people like don't like the end of Lost or something like that. They get mad at him for ruining something. But
those people
I feel like he's got more hits than misses for me personally. So especially after Watchmen, I am down for letting him dip his toe into the DCU. So, especially he's not the sole writer, he's collaborating with Tom King, Chris Mundy.
And I feel like, and this is what I was going to say when like you were still on the Lindelof thing, I wanted to let you kind of continue that, but I don't think either of us really know Mundy, but Tom King and Damon Lindelof both, I would say with full confidence, have the Multiverse Report seal of approval.
Agreed.
Like anything either of them are tied to, both of us are interested in.
Yep.
I mean, hell, look at my bookshelf behind me. There are multiple Tom King books there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. I think when we mentioned it last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it came up, on the show, I mentioned I can't wait to hear more about that because it's one of the ones I'm really excited about. Here we go. Wish granted. So now I'm going to manifest in the world that we hear more about the Batman and Robin Brave and the Bold movie because I want to know about that. So
see, I'm going to opt for the
see if it comes true.
Batman animated series spiritual continuation.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's coming soon, right? That's this summer.
Is that this summer? About that? I was thinking that was like early 25.
I think they just gave us a date. We just talked about it a week or two ago.
As is always, there's too much thing. I was going to say, there's way too much stuff coming out for me to remember dates.
Yeah.
And yet
and we do this every week, and it all bleeds together.
Oh, 100%.
There's no way of telling when we talked about it or what. So I think it is dated. I think it's this summer, I think. I want to say August, but I don't remember. So
I think my brain needs to scratch the X-Men 97 itch of like,
sure. Yeah.
Like if they can remotely capture the animated series like 97 did the original X-Men series, like that's, I know it's not going to be a continuation, but more of a spiritual successor.
Yeah,
but like,
and it's different because it's set in the 40s. Oh, that's right. We talked about it's a period piece. It's set in the 1940s, which I think is cool.
Absolutely.
For sure. Definitely a way to set it apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole regular rundown. You got any? You got a comic to review? I think we have the same one.
I think we have the same comic. Jesse, I believe, said that we got the same book again.
Yes, and that is Marvel Blood Hunt #1.
Yes.
All right. I just read this evening. Steve, I feel like last week I talked a lot about our Conan book. I listened back and I'm like, man, I am just monopolizing this, and he's not really talking. So I'm going to let you start the convo on Blood Hunt #1.
So it's Blood Hunt #1.
A book that I enjoyed.
Yeah. Jed McKay on the writing credits, Pepe Larraz on the art, Marte Gracia on, I believe, colors. Basically, it's Cliff Notes. Vampires are everywhere. For good reason, we find out.
For good reason.
Well, for a reason. They weren't just like
I don't know. It's a good reason.
Okay. Basically, blotting out the sun, blotting out the moon. Everything is going dark.
Yes, they're organized this time.
I see things bleed together. Was it this or something else I was reading that was it revealed in here why that's all happening?
No, not why. It's revealed who is doing it, who is organizing it, but not why.
On the last page, ultimately.
Great reveal.
Yeah. It really was. But yeah, so it must have been one of the other books I read this week. But there's a little bit of everybody in this book. When you look at the dramatis personae that are listed, it is way farther in the book than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, they have like a listing of like the key players, because the Blood Hunt thing is it's like an event.
Yeah, it's going to be a crossover event over I want to say 5 or 6 different books. Plus, this is a one of 5. But like Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Thor, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Vision, Captain America, and then Midnight Mission with Hunter's Moon and Tigra, and Spidey, Blade, Strange, Clea, and Doom. So those are all your key players in this.
All of whom are in this issue.
Yeah. I did love, even right off the bat, they set it up. Everything is kind of set up in a timeline before the sun goes dark. And also how they go around the entire globe, kind of showing what happens.
Yes.
Ultimately, I thought this was a very good kickoff to an event that I was not in any way, shape, or form excited about.
Yeah, same.
If I had, it might be something that I would 100% pick up in trade if I wasn't pulling what I was pulling right now.
Yes,
I might think of keeping up on it, but at this point, I just can't.
Right.
I don't know. I thought they characterized people well. I thought that as to like how things would react to a vampire invasion of everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the T'Challa thing was surprising.
Yes. Yeah. I thought a lot of it was
for
surprising.
vagaries here.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
I thought I really liked the. I mean, I don't think that these are existing characters, but we got introduced to the Blood Coven, a group of like monstrous vampire people with radically different powers. Bloodstorm 1, Smoke Eater, Cruel, Damascene, and Megrim. They're very strange looking, like kind of like remind me of Hellraiser a little bit.
Megrim, like I thought that was the only one that I recognized the name of.
Oh, really?
And that
they could be existing characters that might have been
from something else.
Yeah.
Nope. Laraz designed all of that.
Oh, cool. So you get one thing that's great about this issue is it moves really fast. It does not waste any time.
Yeah.
Blistering speed as far as like the vampires executing their plan to block out the sun. Very cool. I was not familiar with any of the characters that they're utilized to do that necessarily. They mentioned Cloak, I guess, but like I didn't recognize any of them. Vampires have a plan to block out the sun. They execute that plan, and then they just start wrecking shop on the world. The Avengers have to fight them. The Avengers run into the Blood Coven, and have some trouble overtaking the Blood Coven. And then we go back to Earth with Doctor Strange and Clea trying to come up with a spell that will just eradicate all the vampires in the world. And it is revealed, they have a conversation with Blade, who, of course, you're saying there's a Marvel book and it's a vampire series. You know that Blade's going to play a big part in it, obviously. So Blade shows up a couple times in this book. And then right at the very end, it is revealed who is the grand mastermind behind the vampire uprising. And Multiverse Report listeners, it is a twist and a shock.
Let's put it this way. We mentioned Doom, and it's not him.
And it's not him. Yeah. So you should pick this up if you're interested. Yeah. If you like, this is like a Marvel book. This is like up my alley. This is a dark horror spin on an Avengers book, basically. And it's, like I said, it's fast paced. It gives you what you want from a vampire book. Lots of like fights, lots of crazy imagery. And like I said, that last reveal is a big one. And the reveal alone of who is orchestrating this makes me want to read the next one. Makes me want to it has invested me. It has made me care. Just that alone. Because I need to know why. I need to know why this is happening. 100%.
I guess one way I would describe it is this is very much not a street level book that reads a lot like a street level book.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yep.
Like it's global. It's all these characters, everybody doing everything. But for some reason, it seems very tight and like focused.
Because it's like visceral.
Yeah.
They're like literally fighting for their lives hand to hand and not through giant lasers or base battles or anything like that.
I mean, and there's arbitrary vampires being immolated at Latvia's borders.
Oh, yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. Blood Hunt #1. Check it out. There's a reading list in the back of the other books that are coming out in short order here. This is just in May. Just in May alone, there's Free Comic Book Day, Blood Hunt, like a prequel or whatever.
And that's the one that had the Simone X-Men.
The tease of the Simone X-Men run. Yeah,
that was great.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight #5, Blood Hunt #1, Blood Hunt Red Band #1. Is that just like a
so they did a Red Band version of this? Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
If you're at Funky Town, you'll see there's the Blood Hunt #1, and then there's the Blood Hunt #1 that's in the shrink wrap packaging.
Oh yeah,
and that's the Red Band.
Nice. It's got Amazing Spider-Man 49, Avengers 14, Blood Hunters 1, Doctor Strange 15, Dracula Blood Hunt #1, Strange Academy Blood Hunt #1, Venom #33, Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt #1, Union Jack the Ripper Blood Hunt #1, then Blood Hunt #2, Blood Hunt Red Band #2, Black Panther Blood Hunt #1, and Midnight Suns Blood Hunt #1. Those are books that are all either out already or coming out this week, and that's just May. This is a big event, Blood Hunt, big vampire event. I don't wonder why they wouldn't do this event in like October when people are like into spooky vampire stuff, but still very cool. Very cool, no matter when it's happening, for sure.
Also, I did love at the end, on the page you were just looking at adjacent to it, they gave, like, Pepe Larraz did a full sketchbook of, like, him creating the coven.
Yeah, and that's very cool really because that's something you don't normally get until you get it in a trade or a collected edition. So it's cool to see it just in the back of the issue.
So, yeah. I'd say that was a success.
Yeah, I agree. Blood Hunt #1. In stores now. Check it out at Funky Town Comics and Vinyl.
And this month's preview catalog is very X-Men focused because of the relaunch over the summer. So,
I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of, like, David Nakayama Wolverine things and whatnot.
Oh, hell yeah. Look at that.
So, yeah, there's a lot of fun X stuff coming up. There's a lot of fun Marvel stuff coming up.
Awesome.
You know, I think we talked about it last week with the Eisners, why Marvel didn't get the plaudits that like DC and the others did.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like most of the Marvel books right now, there's a lot of quote unquote fun books, like stuff I'm reading just to enjoy reading.
Yeah.
There's definitely not a lot of deep, which is usually what will, similar to any awards show, will get you on that. But, like, there's a whole lot of very surface level type stuff going on at Marvel. Still very enjoyable.
Sure.
But we're talking popcorn, not put on the smoking jacket and a pipe and pulling up to the wood stove with it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
A little bit different.
Well, is there anything Marvel related that you have read this week for your 1,000 comic book goal?
No. Well, probably some. Basically, yes, definitely, because I kept plugging along.
Okay.
No, wait, yes. No, I forgot that I kept plugging along on the House of M. Like, I think like 90-something% done with that at this point.
All right.
So that was a good 20 more books in that.
Yeah.
That really was a damn good storyline. Just thinking back,
I have the
mainline
mainline story itself, but I haven't read all the offshoots and stuff.
I hadn't either until now, and like I had read, I think I read a couple issues that tied in, but like to read all of it, because there was also like Mutopia and Exiles and all this other stuff where I was like, ain't no chance in hell I'm reading those.
Yeah. Too much.
On Unlimited though, it's like, okay, they're right there, I'll read them. But overall, great story. Glad I kept going with that. I did start to reread the X-Men Rogue Squadron Dark Horse, or X-Men Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Okay.
X-Men Rogue Squadron. Dude, X-Men and fighter jets?
Well, I was like, Rogue had a squadron? Squadron of what?
Oh, that was the other thing. Complete tangent. Wolverine and the X-Men, the cartoon.
Yeah.
Ended up, that came on like a suggestion after Tales of the Empire, and was watching like an episode of that or whatever. Not bad. I had never seen it. I was like, hey, this is actually pretty good.
I have heard that's really good for like people, a few years younger than us.
Yeah.
Who maybe missed the original X-Men. That was like the one that was on when they were watching Cartoon Network or whatever. So yeah, it has a lot of fans for sure.
Funky, like almost not quite Tartakovsky animation style.
Yeah.
Like weird body proportions, etc.
Sure.
But pretty solid. Like pleasantly surprised.
Awesome. Cool. Well, folks, this week in your local comic book store, you might find the following books and even more: Avengers Twilight #6, Batman Brave and the Bold #13, Black Panther Blood Hunt #1, the aforementioned, Blood and Fire #1, DC Pride #2, #1, but year 2024, DC Pride, Detective Comics #1085, Edge of the Spider-Verse #4, Flash #9, Green Arrow #12, Harley Quinn #40, Helverine #1. Helverine. That is that's what happens when Wolverine gets taken over by the Ghost Rider demon.
That is correct? True. The spirit of vengeance inhabits Wolverine. Originally happened in the latest Wolverine run, issue 36, which I did not. I have because I was pulling that run at the time, and I did not realize that spiked the hell out of price.
Oh, really?
I was like, this is a random issue 36 on a modern run, and it was like way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. I'm like, okay, cool.
I mean, people like that character enough for it to get its own #1 or its own series, so clearly a popular issue.
No, I mean, it was a good issue. It was just fun, but I didn't expect anything like crazy on it.
Wow.
So, hey, whatever.
Image Comics is doing a cool thing this week, re-releasing some of the first issues of some of their well-known titles in an imprint called Image Firsts. So you can get the first issues of Geiger, I Hate Fairyland, Ice Cream Man, Spawn, and World Tree this week. Also, Jackpot and Black Cat #3, Midnight Suns, Blood Hunt #1, Operation Sunshine, Already Dead #2, Penguin #10, Power Girl #9, Primer #3, Red Sonja #11, Rise of the Powers of X #5, Star Wars Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red #2, I think. Star Wars Jango Fett #3, World Tree #10, Wolverine #50, and X-Men The Wedding Special #1. That's right, Mystique and Destiny tying the knot. X-Men Wedding Special. I've only read one other X-Men Wedding Special, but it was pretty great. So if passes precedent, maybe pick up that X-Men Wedding Special.
There you go.
You pull any of this stuff?
Probably that.
Steve? Probably that.
Weirdly, I don't think I'm going to pull Wolverine. Just because I don't know. Like,
you've already got the first appearance. You don't need to pick up the.
Well, and also I don't know. I think we've talked about this a couple of times. Ghost Rider never really does much for me. I don't know why.
You mentioned that, yeah.
And the combo of my favorite, probably my favorite mutant with, I feel like every time I'm asked that, it comes out as either Wolverine or Kurt. Like it's a 50.
Yeah.
And those are two diametrically different characters.
Well, I know, but they're both incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, like even the juxtaposition of Ghost Rider and Wolverine seems, I don't know, doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
I probably will grab Edge of the Spider-Verse. It seems like it's a very light pull for me. Avengers Twilight's still killing it. And then probably Edge and the Wedding Special. That might be it for me this week.
Cool.
Until Jesse comes back with a stack of comics where I'm like, how did I pull these?
Yeah, I know.
And then I look at them like, oh, they were on my list. Crap.
Oh, I did this to myself.
Yeah, this is all my fault. So yeah, how about for you? Anything jumping at you? Brave and the Bold?
I don't know. I haven't gotten the last couple of Brave and the Bolds, but it is an anthology, so who knows? Maybe I will pick that up.
I feel like Pride's coming out a week early for DC. I think they missed the boat on that
one. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess they want to get it out. Better to get it out before than during or after, and look like it was an afterthought. Maybe.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. I was looking at the calendar wrong. I was thinking June 1st was next Wednesday, and I was like,
no, it's a Saturday.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense.
It's this Saturday because my band, The Amazing Shakes, is playing at Stout Beer Brewing Company.
True.
So,
and I'm going scuba diving.
Cool.
It's going to be
fun.
My open water certification test. So.
Oh, wow! Good luck, my friend.
Maybe I'll celebrate at Stout Beer Brewing Company with The Amazing Shakes.
All right, you should. You should. I don't know if I'm pulling any of these things specifically. What did I read this past week, though? I actually read some stuff besides Blood Hunt #1. I caught up on Birds of Prey. I am catching up. I'm still getting through Superman, All-Star Superman for another time. There's one other book that I was really kind of chugging along with this week, and I don't remember what it was. Anyway, must have been great. Must have been so good. That
seems awesome.
Yeah, that I forgot about it. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I have been in the mood to read a lot of books lately, so maybe this week will be my week that I really dive in.
There you go.
Between watching as many Spielberg movies as I can and Planet of the Apes movies. I know I texted this to you the other night after I watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Have you ever seen that movie?
If I have, it's been a long time.
That movie is so good. It's so good. It's like very unique in the way it tells its story. It doesn't dumb anything down for you. It kind of like there's like really have to pay attention kind of to get a lot of the scenes are structured in where it's like people just seem like they're having casual dialogue while they're walking around a room. It's not like the camera's focused on one person talking. So you have to be like, this is who you're supposed to be paying attention to. You're just kind of observing and you have to pick out the right information from scenes or like I don't know. It's so good. It's so unique. I've never seen another movie like it. Richard Dreyfuss is incredible in it. It just knocked me out. I'd seen it a bunch before, but I just watched it again the other night. It absolutely knocked me out.
What year was that?
77. It came out same year as Star Wars.
Okay, so and Jaws was 76.
Yeah, it was the movie he made. No, Jaws was 75.
Okay,
and then
that was where Spielberg grabbed Dreyfuss.
Became Spielberg.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yep. And I think Close Encounters was the movie he made after Jaws. It was like his follow-up to Jaws.
Okay.
Yeah. Hell of a run.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Hell of a run.
He's an okay guy. I think he knows how to direct movies.
I was just looking at because I decided to watch all these today.
Yeah.
I was looking on just Wikipedia at like his filmography. 3 different times in his career, he made 3 movies in 2 years.
What?
Yeah. 3, and he did that 3 different times. I don't know, but like 2 of them were like Schindler's List and Jurassic Park came out in the same year.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I think he also made like Hook or something like the year before. So that's like 3 movies, 2 years. And he did that 3 different times around that time. All in that same like early 90s to early 2000s.
Yeah. War of the Worlds and Munich were both 2005.
Yeah.
Minority
War of the
Report,
Worlds
Catch Me If You Can was both 2002.
Yeah, it's crazy. I watched War of the Worlds for the first time the other night too.
The Color Purple and Goonies.
I think he just produced Goonies. He didn't direct. Goonies,
he was an EP. EP and a story writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guy knows how to make a movie.
Jaws Close Encounters, 1941 was his follow-up to Close Encounters.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Okay, that's a thing with Aykroyd, Belushi, Ned Beatty.
Yeah.
And then Raiders.
I know.
And then E.T.
Right.
E.T. was 82. Why do I feel like E.T. was later than that?
I watched E.T. with my son today.
Really?
For the first time. Show it to him. Yeah.
Nice.
That movie's good. Great.
Poltergeist and E.T. in the same year.
Yeah, he was a producer on Poltergeist. He didn't direct it.
He wrote it.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I did not realize that. I didn't realize he had anything to do with Poltergeist.
There's actually debate around how deep his hands were in the pot of Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
There's rumors that he pretty much directed it and just gave credit to Tobe Hooper, who supposedly actually directed it, and the same director that did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
Weird. Anyway, I just saw Poltergeist last year for the first time. I had never seen it before. It was very good.
I feel like for you, that's a very weird gap.
Crazy. Yeah, it was a weird gap. I was like, I gotta plug this hole in my horror movie.
Also, Hook. When you get to Hook on your Spielberg walkthrough, I'm wondering how that holds up. I
don't know, man. That was my favorite movie when I was a kid.
Yes,
movie.
It was like, yeah, that was for a kid about our age in the early 90s. That was a very seminal movie.
That was it. And I watched it. Was it last year? Maybe last year.
Yeah.
We watched it with my son, and he liked it. And I went into it knowing I was like, I feel like this movie's bad, but I just like it because I saw it when I was 7 or whatever. And I think I'm right about that. It was like, it's not like Return of the Jedi where people say it's really bad and I watch it and I'm like, this movie's a masterpiece. What are you talking about?
Right.
Like I was watching this and I could still recite every line of dialogue. Like as it was being said, I could still say it.
That's great.
But I was also like, I see how people don't like this movie, and it didn't ruin it for me. It wasn't like a, oh my god, what was I thinking kind of thing, which I feel like I've had with some movies from my childhood. But it was like I mean, it's still Steven Spielberg. It's still like made well,
right?
You know, but
right, you're working with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams,
Robin Williams, Julia Roberts. Like, there's great actors in it.
Julia Roberts, who I recently found out was almost kicked off set during that movie.
Yeah, people hated her.
Yeah, apparently it was real bad.
They called her Tinker Hell. Yeah, because they really hated dealing with her.
Bob Hoskins, I forgot about. He was.
It's an incredible cast. It's an incredible cast.
Dame Maggie Smith. Damn.
Dustin Hoffman is Hook. You can't get better.
No,
you can't get better. So good. But there's like some overacting, and there's some not great jokes and dialogue and contrivances and things like that, for sure. It's way too long. It's like over 2 hours. It's insane.
Really?
That it's that long. It doesn't need to be that long. Production design is really incredible too. Like, there's a lot of great sets and things, but it just is a little meh. I don't know. Not as great as my 7-year-old heart remembered it as being.
Fair enough.
Speaking of things that won't be great, I don't think. We have one shot for the evening, folks, and that is a one shot relating to the highly anticipated. Steve has already said it's going to be his favorite movie of all time.
100%.
Kraven the Hunter. Sony's Kraven the Hunter has moved.
I like how you couldn't say that with a straight face.
Steve, it moved. The date moved. Can you imagine it? That they moved the date? It's only the 4th time that they've moved it.
Did they put it in January where things go to die?
Shockingly, no. They put it in December. It's coming out December 13th. It was supposed to come out this summer. It's supposed to be a summer blockbuster, and they moved it to December. They moved an R-rated comic book movie to December.
Well, nothing says Christmas time more than Kraven the Hunter.
Well, hey, producer Matt Talmuck gave this explanation for the move. Said, speaking to Collider, and said, Kraven moved to Christmas because we're excited about it. And Christmas is the best release period there is when you get people with time to go back to the movies over and over again. That was a real reflection of how the studio felt about the movie. We're really excited, but that's a great move that reflects just the feeling about the movie. I don't believe this at all. I think this movie is going to be bad, and I think they're moving it to Christmas so they can say that it didn't do well because it came out at Christmas. I don't know. Like, who wants to go see an R-rated movie, or an R superhero movie? Who wants to spend their holiday doing that? Like, no, I don't think a lot of people do.
I don't want to spend my non-holiday doing that.
I don't want to spend any time watching this movie. I will see this movie. If I can sit through Madam Web, I can sit through this.
As you know, I did not make
You could not sit through Madam Web. Well, I should say, it took me 2 tries. I watched Madam Web in 2 halves. I watched half of it, and then I watched the second half the next day.
So what am I going to go through it in 6th?
I also couldn't.
I made it through 25 minutes.
It's so bad, right? It's so bad.
It was every time I thought about, I'm like, I'm watching Adam Scott and Dakota Johnson phone the shit out of this in.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, these are 2 decent actors. Like,
yeah,
Adam Scott's great.
Sure.
Like, Dakota Johnson, I haven't seen a ton of, but like,
I've seen her in way better stuff than Madam Web. I'll tell you that.
And like, watching the plasticity of everything that was going on, I was just like, I have better things to do with my time than watch this.
Isn't it crazy how you can tell it's bad immediately? Oh, like it wasn't like thing like where you're like, oh wait, I think this isn't gonna really work out. You're like, oh no, they are botching this.
So the first scene, the first scene I thought was bad, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like, all right, they botched that or whatever. Like the whole flashback part thing. Yeah.
No, the flashback part was what sealed it for me. When they take, sorry, I'm about to friendly neighborhood spoiler alert. I'm about to spoil Madam Web for people. So
this is a spoiler, not to spoil things, but a spoiler so you don't have to.
So you don't have to watch it. So the mom is studying spiders in the Amazon jungle. Happens to find the spider she's been looking for forever. And then the guy that she's working with immediately betrays her. They get in a fight over it. That spider bites her. He thinks she's dead, but then an indigenous tribe of spider people that live in the trees and have spider powers take her back to a cave and submerge her in some kind of goo. And they're like, yeah, this isn't going to save you, but you're pregnant and it's going to save your kid. Like when they introduced an indigenous tribe of spider people that come down from the trees and they're all like wrapped in like vines and stuff. I was like, this is horrible. Like, what am I watching? What am I watching?
Also,
so bad.
Also, the person working with the mother also just happens to be Ezekiel Sims.
Yeah, happens to be the bad guy of the whole movie. Yeah.
Because why not?
Did you recognize that almost 100% of his dialogue was ADR'd?
No, I wasn't paying that much attention. Was it that bad that you could just tell?
There's times, yes, you could just immediately tell. There's no sound editing. There's no sound it just sounds like his voice. It sounds like a narrator. Like his voice doesn't sound like it's coming from his mouth at all. And there's most of it, obviously, like a lot of ADRs when not facing the camera, but there are times when he is facing the camera and it just doesn't line up with what his lips are doing.
You know it's bad when they have to ADR the things you're actually
like almost
in front of the camera for.
Yes. Like, what was he really saying here? Like, and it's not like the lines are good. So, like, what was he saying originally? Was it just a radically different plot? It was wild.
And then there's a scene,
wildly
like,
bad.
when you meet him in modern times where he's just like, I don't know, he has some vision and then it's like, I have to find and kill these 3 teenage girls. Like, what? What?
Yeah. And
what jump was that?
And I'm just thinking of this now. This is supposed to take place before Spider-Man exists, right? Like,
well,
before...
yeah, May is, or, oh God, what's his...
Mary?
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Mary's pregnant with Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's before Peter Parker's even born.
Yeah.
And yet Ezekiel Sims has a Spider-Man suit that he's wearing. His suit looks exactly like a Spider-Man suit.
And all of the Spider
And all
women
of the
have...
vision of the Spider Women. Yeah, exactly. So, what? This doesn't make any sense. It just
Since you've seen the
bad.
movie, do any of the other 3 Spider Women show up at all in the movie? Because I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that.
No, they don't, Steve. They don't. They do not.
So the only time you see any of that is that flashback?
There is another like flash forward at the end of the movie that shows that happening, kind of, but it's still so fast. Like, it's...
So you can't... Hold on. So you got those 3 actors to do that.
To do nothing.
Like Sydney Sweeney, Elizabeth Merced, and I can't remember who the third was, but like,
neither do I.
You got them to do nothing.
Like I said last week, it was a waste. It was an absolute waste of all cast members.
That's why I thought you were. I remembered you saying something last week, and I was like, I'm pretty sure after I saw that flash forward to them in the suits, I was like, pretty sure that's the only time you see them through the whole thing.
Yeah, they do not acquire powers throughout the movie at all. At the end of the movie, they're still just normal.
Totally
normal
makes
people.
sense. Totally makes sense.
I cannot. I said this before. I said something similar before I even saw the movie, and I agree with it. But after having seen the movie, I can't fathom why someone at the studio thought that they should make this movie instead of just making a Sydney Sweeney as Jessica Carpenter or Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman movie. Like, that should have been the movie you make. You get Sydney Sweeney, she's Spider-Woman, bam, movie, done. That you know, she punches people in the face and shoots webs. That's great. You got a hit.
You know how great it is? Apparently in the credits, they don't even... Julia Carpenter is not credited as Julia Carpenter. She is called Julia Cornwall.
Okay, I noticed that. But I thought they called her Julia. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just think her name is Julia Carpenter. But I don't know. I thought she said Carpenter in the movie too. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
So
I don't care. I don't know and I don't care. But anyway, Kraven the Hunter. Now from the only thing that
is that where we started this from?
Yeah, it's the last thing we're talking about, and of course it's going to tangent us because anytime we're talking about Sony making bad Spider-Man movies, we talk about it for way too long.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'm excited to see Kraven the Hunter is to see if it can possibly be as bad as Madam Web. That is the only reason I'm excited to see this movie, because unless they put out a trailer that doesn't make it look like total dog shit,
yeah,
I don't know, because that first trailer just looked terrible, and that was the best they could do with that trailer, apparently.
Wait, Venom: The Last Dance is coming out before it?
Yes, so now because it has been moved 4 times, it's now coming out 2 months after Venom: The Last Dance, which will be the final Venom movie.
Supposedly.
With Tom Hardy, at least. Thank God.
We'll put quotes on that. Final.
Well, I'm hoping that it is the end. I'm hoping that Sony stops making villain movies without Spider-Man. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, but
after this, they haven't announced any more, So I think we're going to get Kraven, we're going to get Venom 3, and then the next Spider thing we're going to get is probably live action anyway. It's going to be Tom Holland's fourth Spider-Man movie. And we'll see what gets reset. We'll see what gets reset with that, because we did get a tease of a black symbiote thing, and we know that Secret Wars is coming up, and that's heavy on symbiote stuff. So we'll see what they do, and we'll see what we'll see the next thing that Sony, because Sony hasn't announced anything else, right? The only thing Sony has announced is the Spider-Man Noir Nick Cage series, but there's no other films. They haven't announced like a Vulture movie or anything like that, or a Carnage solo film. So we'll see. Hopefully they're realizing that all these movies have been bad and that they should stop making them. But remains to be seen.
And like the things that I was actually interested in, like Silver and Black, they canceled. Like, give me Felicia Hardy and Silver Sable, like, going at it. Like,
yeah, I'd watch that.
It'd be great.
Well, you think it would be great, but it would probably be terrible.
Relatively screwed up.
Yeah.
How about El Muerto? Do you want to see El Muerto?
I read a couple weeks ago that El Muerto was actually back in production.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know how true that is, but they really should not make that movie. Unless you're telling me that Tom Holland as Spider-Man is going to be in it.
Right.
Tell me that, and then you make it. You're not telling me that, don't make that movie. No one's going to see it. It's going to be bad, and it's going to bomb. Don't make that movie. Don't make it.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Sony. I'm begging you. Don't do it.
Yeah. They probably will, though.
They definitely will, but they shouldn't.
Yeah. You know what you should do?
What should I do?
You should like and subscribe to this podcast on all your podcatchers of choice.
I should do that. You know what else I should do? I should leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because that will help grow the show and help people find us in their podcast feed.
Absolutely. You should do that. Yeah. You should also subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/themultiverse report.
That's right.
Because, there's cool things you can get from it, like listening to us talk about some movies or access to our Discord channels.
Yeah, I really want someone to subscribe to the level that makes Steve and I have to record a commentary for a movie, because I really want to do that. Yeah. I've always wanted to do that, so give me an excuse to do that, please. Someone sign up for the commentary level. And we'll watch Iron Man or something and talk through it. And then you can watch Iron Man with us anytime you want. It'd be fun. The other thing that I should do is that I should follow us on Instagram and on Threads at the Multiverse Report.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also on Facebook and Blue Sky.
Yeah,
Multiverse
less
Report.
frequently.
Very much less frequently on Blue Sky, for sure. And I think that's all I got. Steve, you got anything else?
No, I think that's about it. Fine.
All right. Well, then, as the two suns set over the burnt corpses of Owen and Beru Lars, we say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.